This is the Global Dark Archives, and this is the story of the West's most valuable spy, Oleg Penkovsky, in the shadowed streets of Moscow during the height of the Cold War. One man played a game more dangerous than any battlefield. His name was Oleg Penkovsky, colonel in Soviet military intelligence, yet secretly the West's most valuable spy. His daring leaks would shape the outcome of the Cuban Missile Crisis, bringing the world to the edge of nuclear war and pulling it back. Penkovsky was born in 1919, the son of a Tsarist officer killed fighting the Bolsheviks. Despite this burdened family background, he rose through the ranks of the Red Army. By the 1950s, he had become a colonel in the GRU, the Soviet Military Intelligence Service. Outwardly, he was loyal. Inwardly, he was restless, ambitious, and dangerously dissatisfied with the Soviet system. By the late 1950s, Penkovsky had grown disillusioned with Nikita Khrushchev's leadership. He believed the Soviet Union's bluster threatened global annihilation. To him, working with the West was not betrayal, it was salvation. 1960, while on a trade delegation in Turkey, Penkovsky made his first bold move. He approached two American students, asking them to deliver a message to the CIA and British intelligence. The game had begun. MI6 and the CIA took the bait. By 1961, Penkovsky was secretly meeting Western handlers in Moscow. His chief contact was Greville Wynne, a British businessman posing as a trade envoy. Through Wynne, microfilms of Soviet documents flowed to the West. The colonel used hidden cameras photographing thousands of pages in his Moscow apartment late at night, knowing discovery meant certain death. As a colonel in the GRU, Penkovsky had extraordinary clearance. He attended classified briefings, read top-secret reports, and oversaw weapons research programs. His position gave him direct access to missile specifications, warhead designs, and deployment plans. Every document he handled was stamped top secret, and every page he stole brought him closer to execution if caught. Penkovsky photographed documents with a Minox sub-miniature camera, small enough to hide in the palm of his hand. He worked at night in his apartment while his family slept. He would lay documents on a table, photograph them rapidly, then return them to his briefcase before dawn. These rolls of film, tiny but priceless, contained the most guarded secrets of the Soviet arsenal. Passing the material was just as dangerous. He met Wynne in Moscow cafes and handed over packages disguised as gifts or business documents. At times, he used dead drops, leaving film in pre-arranged hiding places around Moscow. A chalk mark on a building or a matchbox in a pocket signaled that a drop had been made. Every movement was a gamble against the KGB's ever-watchful eyes. What Penkovsky delivered was priceless. He revealed the weaknesses of the Soviet military, the true range of its missiles, and the state of its nuclear arsenal. The Soviet Union, he explained, was far weaker than it claimed. His intelligence gave Washington and London the clearest picture they had ever received of Soviet capabilities. A U-2 spy plane streaks high over Cuba, and what it photographs chills Washington to the bone. Soviet nuclear missiles, capable of vaporizing American cities in minutes. When American reconnaissance planes spotted Soviet missiles in Cuba, Penkovsky's reports became vital. He had provided specifications on missile ranges and warhead yields, allowing President John F. Kennedy to know exactly how much time he had before they became operational. For 13 tense days, the world holds its breath. In the White House, John F. Kennedy and his advisors argue over war and peace. In Moscow, Nikita Khrushchev insists the missiles are purely defensive. Each encounter a heartbeat from catastrophe. With the knowledge from Penkovsky's reports, Kennedy rejected calls for immediate airstrikes and instead chose a naval blockade, buying time and avoiding a likely nuclear exchange. But even as his intelligence shaped global events, the KGB was beginning to close in. Soviet counterintelligence noticed inconsistencies, documents leaking, meetings that raised questions. Wynne, the British businessman, attracted attention. Surveillance teams began following his movements, photographing his meetings, and cross-checking his contacts. Slowly, suspicion tightened around Penkovsky. All the while, in the skies, bombers wait on alert. Submarines prowl the Atlantic armed with nuclear torpedoes. One wrong signal, One nervous trigger, and civilization could vanish in a flash. By mid-1962, the KGB placed Penkovsky under discreet watch. His phone calls were monitored, his neighbors questioned, and his visits to Wien shadowed. They installed cameras across Moscow apartments and planted microphones in his office. Every step he took was being logged. Every meeting compared against intelligence leaks the Soviets couldn't explain. Penkovsky didn't know it yet, but the net was already around him. The breaking point came when the KGB staged controlled operations to test his loyalty. They observed a dead drop, retrieved it, and found Western-made film. Convinced they had their spy, they waited until the perfect moment, during the tension of the Cuban Missile Crisis itself. In late October 1962, Penkovsky was arrested. His apartment was raided and his equipment seized. Wynne was detained soon after. For those 13 days, the world teetered on the brink of destruction. Yet it was Penkovsky's intelligence that gave Kennedy the confidence to stand firm against Khrushchev. U.S. warships circled Cuba, engines humming beneath the Caribbean sun. Soviet freighters steamed toward the blockade line, each mile a countdown to nuclear war. In Washington, the tension was suffocating. But then, a message from Moscow. Khrushchev offered a deal. Remove the missiles if America swore never to invade Cuba. Hours later, another telegram arrived, harsher, angrier. The world teetered between two conflicting notes from the same man. Kennedy replied only to the first, the softer one, and quietly agreed to withdraw U.S. missiles from Turkey in secret in return. Historians agree. His leaks helped shape the peaceful resolution of the crisis. Few individuals in history have held such sway over the fate of millions. But such influence came at a deadly price. In May 1963, Penkovsky was put on public trial for treason. The proceedings were broadcast across the Soviet Union as a warning to others. Calm but defiant, he admitted to passing secrets, but claimed his motive was to prevent nuclear catastrophe. The verdict was inevitable. He was sentenced to death. Penkovsky was executed later that year, most accounts say by firing squad, though Soviet rumors spread darker tales of poisoning or cremation alive. His body was never returned to his family. To Moscow, he was a traitor. To the West, he was the man who helped save the world in 1962. The story of Oleg Penkovsky is one of extraordinary courage and extraordinary danger. He lived each day knowing exposure meant death, yet he acted anyway. His choices altered the course of the Cold War and perhaps spared humanity from nuclear annihilation. In the shadows of history, he remains a reminder that sometimes the fate of nations rests in the hands of a single, haunted man. Thank you for watching the Global Dark Archives. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.